So, just to continue on the series on the cupbearer and the legacy of the cupbearer in the Bible and all the Bible stories, right? We have the story of Joseph and the cupbearer. Again, he's in the prison. He's been going through all sorts of challenges and hardship. A man comes to the prison that was a cupbearer to the Pharaoh, and he's been taken from power, stripped of power, put in prison. And he talks to Joseph because he has a dream, and Joseph is known as a dream interpreter. Joseph tells him he'll be restored in 3 days. And Joseph tells this man, when you get to the palace, don't forget about me. Please bring me out too from prison, right? Well, the cupbearer is restored after 3 days, and he kind of gets busy with life. He kind of forgets about Joseph. But the Pharaoh does have dreams later, and so the cupbearer comes back to Joseph and tells him, "You're free. We need you to go to the palace to help the Pharaoh interpret his dreams," right? And so Joseph goes from the pit to the palace, from the prison to the palace, and he ends up doing some dream interpretation. He's very skillful at what he does, and before you know it, he's leading Egypt and helping them as a famine is spreading all throughout the region. Joseph meets with his family again, and he forgives them. And his family, everybody forgives each other. He's restored, everybody's redeemed. And they still have the issue of how to deal with the famine, right? And how does he protect his family? So Joseph decides that he will cover them as a cupbearer, right? So he covers his family. He takes a risk. He goes to the Pharaoh. He asks the Pharaoh if he will give him some land in Egypt, around the Delta region that's protected by the Nile River. And there's good agriculture and good abundance there. And so Joseph literally moves his entire family from Canaan, which was experiencing heavy famines, and he moves them to the land of Goshen, the safe place, right? And it starts out as a safe place, and the Israelites lived there for a very long time, and eventually things take a turn for the worse, and they fall under many pharaohs that get meaner and meaner, and then it becomes a problem down the road. But essentially, Goshen was the safe place, right? The whole region was under famine. A lot of people were dying of starvation, and Goshen was the Delta Nile River region of Egypt, and it was flourishing, and it was abundant, and it was a good place for them to be. They could have been anywhere, and it was Joseph that saved them. It reminds me of a story I watched as a little kid, right? Mrs. Frisbee and the Rats of Nim, right? So her family's in danger, and she doesn't know what to do. And she goes ahead and she picks up this amulet. She puts herself in harm's way and danger, right? As a cupbearer almost. And she protects her family. She covers them and she moves them to the safe place. And the safe place is the lee of the stone. It's the rock that covers the family, right? So she's moving them under the protection of God. Joseph moved them under the protection of God. He covered them, and God thereby also covered Joseph and his family as well. So that's a story of Goshen and how it started out as a safe place, and the story of Joseph and his redemption, and how he came up from the pit to the prison, and the cupbearer that actually pulled him out of the prison and brought him to the palace and restored his life.